The kingdom of Aethelgard had known peace for a generation, a jewel resting between the mountains and the sea.
King Alaric awaited the arrival of his heir, preparing a cradle not of iron. As the winter snow began to fall, the kingdom held its breath for the cry of a new era.
Elara was not born with a sword in her hand, but with a silver rattle.
From her first breath, she was the kingdom's jewel, precious.
As a babe, her large emerald green eyes held a curiosity that unsettled the nurses. She tracked the movement of the guards outside her window, her gaze sharp and focused. By age 5, while other children played with dolls, Elara was analyzing the physics of the castle walls. She was a beautiful child, her long, wavy auburn hair constantly escaping the golden ribbons. Her father, King Alaric, laughed when she asked why the guards stood still holding heavy pikes.
Because they are strong, little bird, and you are sweet. You must be sweet.
Elara looked at her glass slippers, clicking them on the stone floor.
She didn't want to be sweet.
And wanted to make the earth move, not just curtsy to it. The night the sky turned red, Elara was wearing the dress described in the royal archives. A floor-length ball gown of sunset pink silk, embroidered with subtle flowers. She was 18, poised on the edge of womanhood. She looked every inch the princess. The festival of the solstice was in full swing when the horns sounded.
The glass doors of the ballroom shattered.
She saw her father draw his sword, a king fighting for his people. But he was old, and the invaders were ruthless.
Alara's sweetness was nowhere to be found. Instead, a cold, sharp clarity took over. As a brute lunged for the young nobles, Elara didn't scream. She grabbed a heavy silver candlestick. She didn't swing it like a girl. She swung it like she wanted to end a life. She stood over him, her sunset pink skirt splattered with oil and blood.
Her emerald eyes wide, no longer soft, but burning.
She looked down at her glass slipper, now cracked, the sharp edge glinting. She kicked it off, grabbing a fallen dagger from the floor. The princess in the pink dress died that night. The warrior was born. They did not surrender. Aethelgard burned, but the people survived. Fleeing into the whispering woods, Elara led them. Not from the back of a carriage, but on horseback. She traded the silk bodice for hardened leather. She cut the bottom of her ball gown to allow for movement. The frayed floral embroidery, stained with mud and rain. The golden ribbon remained, tying her hair back tight against her skull to keep it from her eyes. She found an unlikely mentor in Kaelin, a disgraced royal knight living as a hermit.
Go home, princess. You'll break a nail.
Teach me.
It's stuck into the tree, dead center. Or I break your nose.
For 2 years, she unlearned her posture. She learned to stand with her feet shoulder-width apart.
She learned that her emerald eyes could track the flight of an arrow.
And she learned to draw a bow until her fingers bled.
She was smaller than the men, faster. She used her slender frame to slip under guards. Her auburn hair, once loose and flowing, became a tangled, fierce mane, tied back by the... She ceased to be the princess in the minds of the refugees. She became the vanguard.
The Iron Legion sat fat and happy in the occupied castle of Aethelgard. Under the cover of a new moon, Elara led the assault.
She wore no armor, only fitted leather jerkin and trousers, allowing her the speed she had mastered in the woods.
Her skin, once pale and untouched, was now scarred and weathered, bronzed by the sun.
They breached the castle walls. Elara moved like water, a dance she had never performed in the ballroom. She was grace and violence intertwined. She reached the throne room where the warlord sat on her father's chair.
Lost, little girl?
Elara drew 2 swords, one in each hand. She stood tall.
No, I am home.
The duel was legendary. It wasn't a clash of brute strength, but a tactical dismantling. Elara was faster, smarter. She let him tire himself out on her parries. When he stumbled, she moved. It was a strike born of 2 years of hunger and rage.
The warlord fell.
The war was won. The people cheered, not for a princess in a tower, but for the...
Elara reclaimed the throne, but she refused the sunset pink gowns. On her coronation day, she wore a gown of white and gold, but it was cut in the
Tabable. Her auburn hair was loose once more, cascading down her back. A tribute to the girl she was, and the woman she had become. Her emerald green eyes, once large and innocent, not as a memory of fragility, but as a reminder, even something made of glass can cut deep enough to kill.
Kaelin, once a hermit in the woods, stood watch as the new captain of the guard.
The children of Aethelgard no longer just played with dolls. They learned to stand tall.
Elara walked the gardens she once analyzed, no longer wishing to move the earth, but content to nurture it. Into Minterstum seist might some
The kingdom did not just return to how it was. It grew into something stronger. In the training yards, the lessons of the Whispering Woods became the foundation of the new guard.
Feet apart!
Queen Elara ruled with a steady hand, proving that diplomacy requires the spine of a warrior. But even a queen remembers the fragile beginnings that forged her strength.
The vanguard had returned, and under her watch, Aethelgard would never fall again.
The victory was only the beginning.
Rebuilding Aethelgard required a different kind of steel.
She didn't just repair walls, she redesigned them.
She established the Vanguard Academy,
Where any child could learn the art of defense.
She was rarely seen in the throne room.
She was in the fields, in the barracks, and in the markets.
her freckled skin grew lined with the stress of governance.
When advisors pressed for an heir,
She would point to the glass slipper on its pedestal. My legacy is not in my blood.
peace is a fragile thing. They moved like a plague, poisoning wells. Aethelgard was hit by a winter so brutal.
The rivers turned to solid glass.
She led a winter campaign into the north.
In the Battle of the Frozen Ravine,
Elara was caught in an ambush.
For 3 days, she was cut off.
She survived on skills Kaelin had taught her.
When she finally emerged,
She looked less like a queen and more like a force of nature.
Princess Elara is gone.
Princess Elara is gone. The warrior is a legend.
Now, there is only the sovereign.
Aethelgard is no longer a cradle of silk. It is a fortress of industry and art. On this morning, a young girl was brought before her.
The child was crying.
Elara kneels, reaches into her bodice, and pulls out a jagged shard of glass. She places it safely in the girl's hand. Don't cry for what is broken, little bird. Only when something breaks can you see how sharp it can truly be.
As the queen stands and walks back to her council,
The sun catches the golden ribbon in her hair.
she isn't just a survivor anymore.
She is the foundation upon which an empire is built.
Elara proved that the girl who analyzed physics was a natural stateswoman. She didn't just repair walls, she redesigned them.
Her auburn hair, now often streaked with the dust of construction sites, was kept strictly tied back with that same fraying golden ribbon.
She established the Vanguard Academy.
feet apart, where any child, regardless of birth, could learn the art of defense. She was in the fields, in the barracks, and in the markets.
She never married.
When advisors pressed for an heir,
I will not yield to this pressure. My legacy is not in my blood, but in the strength of the hands that hold our spears.
The remnants of the Iron Legion had unified in the frozen wastes.
They moved like a plague, poisoning wells and burning granaries. Aethelgard was hit by a winter so brutal.
The people were starving. Thank you, my queen. The warrior queen had to become a general, trading her white and gold tunic for heavy furs and etched steel plates. She led a winter campaign into the north. In the Battle of the Frozen Ravine, Elara was caught in an ambush.
For 3 days, she and a small unit were cut off.
She didn't survive on royal rations,
but on the survival skills Kaelin had taught her. When she finally emerged from the snows, dragging the standard of the enemy behind her. Her hair had begun to show its first thin threads of silver.
At 35,
she wears a gown of deep emerald velvet. Underneath the heavy fabric, the faint clink of a hidden mail shot can be heard. Her face is a map of her journey. The kingdom of Aethelgard is no longer a cradle of silk.
The child is crying because she broke a porcelain doll.
Elara kneels, her joints popping slightly.
Reaches into her bodice and pulls out a small, jagged shard of glass. Don't cry for what is broken, little bird. Only when something breaks can you see how sharp it can truly be. As the queen stands and walks back to her council, the sun catches the golden ribbon in her hair. She isn't just a survivor anymore.
She isn't just a survivor anymore.
She is the foundation upon which an empire is built.